I'm Patrick Badevi, host of Valuetainment, and you ever hear people in all these books that we read saying, I hire for these qualities, and this other guy says, I hire for those qualities, and and then eventually we have a book, 40 different reasons to hire somebody for. So what quality is what? And so to me, over the last 10 years, from making so many mistakes on hiring and firing people, I've come up with 4 things that I hire for. And this is so interesting because this conversation came up this morning with our staff. And I asked them, I said, what would you say I hire for? And they literally said every one of the things that I hire for, and I'll cover it with you here in a second. So think about it this way. When you're in business and you're new in business, it's typically very easy to hire people, and you have a very hard time firing people because you're emotionally attached, so you're afraid to fire somebody, right? So easy to hire, hard to fire. The longer you're in business, it actually becomes harder for you to hire somebody because you're picky and choosy who you're going to put your time onto. And it's very easy to fire people because you actually don't fire that many people. People, if you do this properly, you're not firing that many people. It's either they don't become part of the environment, which is a small percentage because you've learned how to hire, or life happens and they end up having to walk away because life happens. So let me talk to you about the 4 things that I look for when I'm hiring somebody. Number 1 on my list is love. Let me explain why number 1 is on my list. To me, love is very important. I look for someone who loves the company, who loves a vision that you're casting, I'm casting, loves a crusade, that their heart starts connecting with it. Because if you can hire, my experience has been, if you can hire people based on love, you don't need to have work ethic on a list, because love is an action, in my opinion. If love is an action and the definition of love to you is also an action, it's a verb, then that means everything from love, work ethic, comes because of love. So if someone loves, they're going to have a work ethic. If parents make food for their kids 3 meals a day, not because they have to, but because they love and they put the time to cook. If parents put the time to drop off the kids in the morning and pick them up and work so hard and do this and do that, love. It doesn't, there's no manual that says you got to work hard when you're a parent. No. The manual is you love, they have a place in your heart, so you work. So I hire based on love. So, and another thing with love is this as well to keep in mind. You can't force somebody to love you, your vision, your company. You can't do it. And if you constantly are trying to force somebody to love you, it's kind of like the guy who's in love with this girl and he loves her so much, but she doesn't love him. She likes him. And she tolerates him. And all his life, he's trying to earn her love, and she's just not going to love him. She doesn't love him. She just likes him. They're just together because it's good. This guy has all his life, and that can be very draining. I don't hire for forcing somebody to love. If you love it, we're going to work together. If you don't, no problem. You're going to find a place that you're going to love, and we're going to find people that we're going to hire that we're going to love as well, and that's okay. The second point that I look for is, my buddy Jose this morning came and trained some of our staff, and he said, how his business has been growing very fast. Because his team's level of trust is at the highest it's ever been. He says, Pat, the way we trust one another right now is something else. I've never seen it like this before. Everybody's trusting each other. And I remember one of my good friends, George, asked me maybe 9 years ago, he said, hey, Patrick, what's the number 1 thing you look for at that time for a friend? And I said, trust to me is very important. Trust and loyalty to me is very, very important. And trust is something that it doesn't happen overnight. So when I hire somebody and I'm going to be working with them, I'm going to put time into working with this individual. The trust may take a little bit. The trust may take 3-6 months where I trust their. I remember what Mark Cuban said in Dallas. He said, when I hire new talent, I micromanage them until I trust them. And it's not necessarily micromanaging. I think it's more monitoring, setting expectations, seeing what they're doing, hold them accountable, until more and more you're letting go, and then boom, you can let them do it because trust level is at an high, all-time high. And then that person doing business with you, based on your consistencies and your habits and them seeing that you are true to your vision, to your cause, the level of trust from your new team member goes higher and higher. And the higher the level of trust, it's a very easy environment to do business with. And that goes right into number 3. Number 3 is speed. Speed is important because, you'll hear people say, well, would you rather have somebody that works very fast, but they're not very efficient, or have somebody that's very efficient, but very slow? And my answer is, I want both. I want speed and efficiency. And I think that's out there. I think it's an excuse when people say you can't find speed and efficiency at the same time. I think there's plenty of people that are fast and efficient at the same time. It's really expectation, and it's time management that person's got to work on. But if I'm working with somebody that's got speed, especially in a startup environment, if you're running a startup, it's very, very important to have the kind of an environment where there's deadlines. There's typically a lot faster deadlines in a startup environment than a company that's been on for 50 years. A company that's been on for 50 years, they don't have a lot of fast deadlines. But let me also tell you, a company that's been on for 50 years, what they don't do, they also don't make decisions quickly. It may take them 6 months to make a decision, but their deadline also may be 3 months, where a deadline in a startup company may be a week, or maybe tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But the point is, the deadlines in a startup is a lot faster, so speed becomes very important. And the last one to me, kind of solves all three problems. The first three, that loves, trust, and speed. The last one is very simple. I love working with people who are purely committed to improvement. If I'm working with somebody who is not good in a certain area, but they come back and say, Pat, I promise you, give me 2 to 4 weeks, look how good I'll be at. I'll show it to you in 2 weeks from now, no problem. That shows me that person is committed to beating their prior best, personal development, growing, getting better. There is nothing like working with a group of people that are constantly working on getting better. One of the things I run a book club, international book club. It's called the Entrepreneurial Book Club on YouTube. But I've been running a book club with my staff for 5 years. And here's what we do. Every month, I recommend a book. And a team, the entire staff goes and reads the book. And then once a month, we get together. We sit at the conference room and we go through it. Tell me what you got out of the book. Tell me what you got out of the book. And everybody goes through what, how about this? How about that? How could you apply that to the business? How could you do this? How could you do that? How about this? How about this? And we have seen people where 3 years ago were frightened of certain things to work on. I can't tell you how incredible they are today. Conflicts between two people that they couldn't work together. They are best friends now, running together as a team. Somebody who was afraid of speaking in front of an audience or calling on people or business, they have improved to a whole different level because they have committed to personal development. They have committed to constantly getting better. So if I find somebody who loves what they do with us, the company, the brand, the vision, the crusade, if they are trusting, and they trust, because you got to have both. It's very hard when you work with somebody that doesn't trust, and it's very hard you work with somebody that you don't trust them. Trust is there. Speed is automatically going to go to a whole different level. And you have personal development, which eventually leads to efficiency. You have a winner there. You find somebody with those four, you put your time and resources into it, because that could be somebody long term that your time is not going to be wasted, because they're not going to be going anywhere, because they love what they do. You don't need to tell them to work because they love what they do. They're trusting, and you trust them, and they trust you. Speed's in the right place, as well as working on themselves and improving. If you give them a challenge, they're going to work on it together with you. That's a long-term person to invest your time into. Now, you may have some ideas on what you like to hire for. I would love to hear it. Please comment on the bottom. If you have any questions about what I talked about, also comment on the bottom. And last but not least, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.